Very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Wally Rouda. I'm your host for this BizTalk 94. We're talking about negotiation skills for business professionals. Very good afternoon. Welcome all. I'm coming to you live today. Is everybody happy? Can everybody smile at me? Can everybody hear me? Can everybody hear me? Can you smile at me? Lovely. It is important if you want to receive a certificate for this session, it is a mandatory requirement that your video camera, live video camera, must be switched on throughout the session. If for any reason your video camera is switched off or you do not switch it on, you'll unlikely to get a certificate. Your camera must be switched on from the very beginning to the very end if you are to receive a certificate. Because when I sign a certificate, you should have attended, participated, and learnt. And I cannot tell that if you're not on camera and I cannot see you. So unless your camera is switched on for the whole duration of this talk, there is a chance you will not qualify for a certificate. So if for any reason you cannot switch on your camera, you need to get my permission. Otherwise, you will just not receive a certificate. Okay? All right. So very good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's session. Once again, my name is Wally Rouda, and today I'm happy to talk to you about negotiation skills for professional business or business professionals. Can anyone tell me what is negotiation? Does anyone know? Danilo, do you know what negotiation means? Danilo Jr.? Hi, Danilo, do you want to talk to me? What does negotiation mean, Danilo? Are you there? Go ahead. Okay, Danilo is not sure why he can't hear me. All right, let's talk to someone else. Zalvi, what does negotiation mean? Are you there, Zalvi Garcia? Hi, good afternoon, young lady. Where are you? Zalvi, you need to talk to me if you want to learn anything. If you just run away and hide, you won't learn anything, ma'am. The whole idea is for you to learn, not to run away. All right? Next time I call on you, answer my question. Okay, go ahead. Wilma, hi, Wilma. Would you like to unmute your microphone? What does negotiation mean, Wilma?
Hello, good afternoon. So
Hi,
for
what does...
me,
Yeah, go ahead.
negotiation is a dialogue between two or more parties to resolve points of difference and to gain agreement of both parties.
You're nearly right. It's not a point of discussion, but it's certainly conversation, and we'll talk about that more. Thank you, Wilma. Very good effort. Thank you. Okay, let's go on. Let's go to the next person who raised their hand, Michelle. Michelle Maggio. Hi, are you there, Michelle? You want to talk to me, Michelle? Go ahead. Hi, Michelle.
Hi, sir, can you hear me?
Yeah, of course. Welcome to
Yeah.
BizTalk 94. What does negotiation mean to you?
Well, thank you so much, Sir Wally, for this stage. Well, for my own understanding, sir, when we say negotiation, it's all about the transaction between business dealing, and we can consider as well like the bargaining at the same time.
Okay, very good. It's a
Yeah.
discussion and it's part of a bargaining process. Very important word. Thank you very much, Michelle. Good stuff.
All right,
Excellent.
sir.
You're welcome. Let's go to Lainey Castro. Hi, Lainey. How are you? Good afternoon. Welcome to BizTalk 94. Go ahead. What do you think negotiation is? Hi, how are you?
I'm good. For me, negotiation is about two person like discussing about the business or anything, and they have both have agreement to each other.
All right, you're on the right track. It is a form of discussion. You are right. Thank you, Lainey. I'll come back to you. Thank you. Good afternoon. Okay, let's go on. Who else is there? Let's take one more. Okay. Who else? Let's take Ray Ponce, and I'll come back to all of you. All of you put your hands up. I promise I'll talk to you shortly. Go ahead, Ray. Tell me, what does negotiation mean to you, Ray?
Okay, sir. Good afternoon. Negotiation is the ability of a certain individual able to communicate, talk, able to resolve any dispute, problem, or communicate for a certain individual.
You're on the right track. It involves communication, and it is about resolving a decision. You're right. I'll come back to you. Thank you, Ray. Thank you so much. All right, let's go on, guys. So far, you've all shared the right ideas. I'll come back to you, Darwin, Charlene, and Jenlyn. Just stay with me for a few minutes. Negotiation is all about these three issues, and negotiation encompasses bargaining. It encompasses giving, it encompasses taking, it encompasses winning, and sometimes it encompasses sharing loss. It encompasses you being able to find a solution to an agreement which will help you as a business gain profit. Does everyone understand that so far? Yes or no? Zalvi, you understand what I said? Zalvi Garcia, can you wave your hand to me? Good girl. All right, so let me go to my PowerPoint and share my screen. Okay, here we go. Just give me a moment. Okay, guys, here we go. So today we're talking about negotiation for business professionals. It definitely is all about how to negotiate as a business professional. All right, so what does negotiation involve? Effective negotiation, as you've all said, is a process where people settle differences. It's a difference whether to agree on the price or supply of products, or any differences which they need to reach agreement, which is going to help them to be able to generate a revenue for one party or for the other party to get goods and services. With any disagreement, individual understandability aim to achieve the best possible outcome for their position or perhaps an organization they represent. Sometimes negotiations don't work is because both parties are not thinking of their organization. They're thinking of them getting self-satisfaction by winning. But a lot of times winning is not about winning 100%. Winning is about getting a compromise where both parties can make money. Okay, so the principles of fairness, mutual benefit, and maintaining relationship are keys to successful business negotiation. I want everybody to remember those words, please, because I'm going to come back to them later. I want everybody to remember the words that I just mentioned, which are fairness, seeking mutual benefit, and maintaining relationship. Does everybody understand that? Yes or no? All right. So remember, these words are really, really, okay, really, really important. And they're words that you have to remember as we go on. Okay. All right. So they're really, really important. Just one moment, please. Let me go back to where I was. Okay. So everyone here should remember these. Let me just stop sharing and share again. Just one moment, please. Okay, so can everybody see my screen now? Okay, so we're talking about fairness, seeking mutual benefit, and maintaining a relationship. Let's go on. Okay, just one moment. Okay, here we go. So why do people fail in their negotiation most of the time? Why? Can anyone tell me why people fail? People fail in the negotiation process for three obvious reasons, Ray, Lani, and Marshalene. They fail for some basic reasons, which are really, really simple. And some people don't realize that their failure can be overcome. People are oblivious to how they come across during a negotiation. 57% of business people today do not know how to speak assertively where their voice is heard and respected. People enter a negotiation because they're unprepared. They don't know who they're dealing with, and they don't know the product they are selling well enough, or the service they are selling. And three, and the most importantly, is that negotiations usually see the negotiator forgetting to mention everything during a negotiation. So if you are negotiating a business deal with a client and you do not actually show a sense of honesty and transparency and tell the client everything they need to know, then you're not going to agree on anything because there's a lack of belongingness. There's a lack of transparency. Can everybody understand what I mean by that? Yes or no? Everybody understand what I mean by a lack of transparency? Okay, who can tell me, what do I mean by a lack of transparency? Marshalene, go ahead.
Good afternoon,
Hi.
sir.
Hi, good afternoon. Tell me, what do I mean if you're not being transparent to the people you're negotiating with?
Meaning to say, sir, that you are not honest of what you are talking about.
That's right. You're not giving enough information that helps
Yes.
them make a decision. Am I correct?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Good girl. I'll talk to you again shortly. Okay, so let's go back and remember, transparency is about being honest, open, and forthcoming. And it's really important in any negotiation that you do that. Mafi, Rebel, you really need to switch on your camera, Marifi, so you get a certificate. Really, if you don't switch on your camera, my team will not issue a certificate. Please understand, I want you to get the certificate, all right? Okay, Marifi, tell me, what does negotiation mean to you? Go on, Marifi, unmute your microphone and talk to me. Hi, Marifi.
Hello, sir. Good day.
That's
Again,
okay.
sir, what is the question?
What does negotiation mean to you, and why is honesty and transparency important in a negotiation?
Okay. So first of all, sir, if you want negotiate something, you have to be formal and serious. That you are serious to negotiate with them. Transparency and honesty is very essential. This is the
Why?
key that you are giving the key that you are serious about the matter.
Right. So
And also
yes, go on.
it's a key also to build a good relationship with your other parties of the business.
Okay, you're on the right track. Good. Okay, you're on the right track. Okay, good on you, Marifi. I'll come back to you. Thank you so much. Very good. Very good. Okay, let's go down and let's go back to it. So transparency and forthrightness, or being honest and upfront about your product and service, will give the person you're dealing with the confidence to enter negotiation or to reach a decision as an outcome of that negotiation. Most people fail to negotiate successfully because, one, they don't know who they're talking to. They don't do their research. Two, they forget the points that they need to mention about their products or services. And three, it's because they do not command a voice which people will respect. Having a voice, a passive voice or an active voice that people respect, a voice that people can hear and not whispering, is really important when you're trying to close any negotiation. That's why negotiations are usually conducted by people who are able to speak and speak with a sense of clarity in their voice. It's not only clarity, but it has to be assertive. That means they have to sound like they're serious, and they have to sound that they know what they're talking about. Assertiveness. Can everybody write that down? I want everyone to remember today the term assertiveness, because assertiveness plays a critical role in whenever you're trying to actually negotiate. Assertiveness is very much an important part of it. If you go into a negotiation without being prepared, that means you don't know your client, you will fail. So before you go into a negotiation, you need to be customer centric. You need to know who your customer is. You need to put yourself in your customer's shoes. And last but not least, you need to remember all the elements that you need to talk about in your negotiation. You need to be prepared. You, the negotiator, needs to be prepared. You cannot go in there unprepared. Okay, so let's talk about stages of effective communication. The stages are very simple. I want everybody to remember these. Number 1 is preparation. Number 2 is discussion. Number 3 is clarification of goals. Number 4 is negotiation. Number 5 is reaching agreement. And number 6 is implementing what you negotiated. So let's ask ourselves, as negotiators, when you go into a discussion with another person or other people, and you want to start this negotiation, for example, Ma Charlene wants to negotiate with Mary Ann about renting an empty shop because Ma Charlene wants to open a restaurant, okay, hypothetically. So for Ma Charlene to go in and negotiate with Mary Ann Maragnon, who is the landlord who owns the empty shop, Ma Charlene should know how long the shop's been empty for, who the owner or the landlord is, what shop used to be there before, and probably find out who the people that were in the shop before are and talk to them. Why did you leave that shop? Was the rent too high? How much rent did you pay? You need to know or be centric of the other party before you start negotiation. Does everybody understand that? Yes or no? Can you wave your hands? Come on, everyone, switch on your cameras. Tran, Tui, how? I can't see you. Unless I can see you, no certificate. Mary Ann Maragnon, I can't see you. No certificate. Las Marie Destreza, no certificate. I can't see you. You need to show your face on camera. Mary Ann Gekyan, I need to see your face. Please adjust your camera. Otherwise, no certificate. All right. So remember, the element of negotiation comes once you're prepared. And unless you go into the session with preparation, you will fail. Thank you, Marianne. Keep your camera on. Okay, here we go. So how do you prepare? This is part of being assertive and being a good negotiator. To prepare, you must remember that you need to ask questions. Experts ask a lot of questions. Questions lead to information. So, based on evidence and based on successful business negotiations, we as academics and experts say that you should spend 2 to 3 times the amount of time asking questions. So if you are trying to sell something to a client and you are trying to negotiate a sale, you as the subject expert should ask questions and listen to the client's answers. And your questions should lead the client to being or believing and agreeing to close a deal. So the risk of asking questions is that you will get quality answers that will help you give the information that the client might be unsure of. Okay, so if you do not ask questions, you will lose control. Your opponent has the opportunity to direct the information flow. Remember, if you're selling a good or service and you are trying to negotiate to close business for your company, you have to be in control. Therefore, you should be the one asking the questions. You need to actually gather information about the client and why they're interested in your product, etc. You can only do that through questions. You need to ask questions so you get the client to agree as to why he needs your product, why he needs your service. And that way you can reflect on those questions later to close the negotiation. Confirmation listening questions, they also come at the end, and they are reflective questions. So do I understand this correctly, Mr. Jones, that you need 15 trucks for your company as soon as possible so you can move the cargo which is available to you now from the 3 extra shipping lines who want to do business with you? And if you can't get those trucks, you stand to lose millions of dollars in business. Reflective questions, confirmatory questions. And when the customer says, yes, I agree, we go back to the phenomena of why sell when people buy. The customer just agreed with you simply because you asked the right type of questions. Let's talk about question technique. Can everybody here remember the question technique I've taught you before? There is 3 elements of a question technique. Can everybody go to the chat box, please? I'm going to write them in the chat box now. Everyone write these down. The first one is open-ended questions. Open-ended questions are questions where you're getting the client to tell you their story. For example, Arjunan, tell me why you want to buy a car. Arjunan will say, I need to buy a car because I have a wife and 2 children. I need to drive my wife to see the doctor, take the children to school, and without a car, I'm wasting too much money on taxis. Open-ended question. The client tells you their situation, their story. The second type of questions is closed-ended questions. Write these down, everyone. Closed-ended questions. Closed-ended questions are where you confirm information that Arjunan gave you with yes or no. Arjunan, you told me you have 3 children. Yes or no? You have 1 boy, 2 girls. Yes or no? You want a car that is a 3-cylinder car so you save money on petrol. Yes or no? Closed-ended questions. The third and final type of question you need are what we call the confirmatory questions, or in academic terms and professional selling, we call the reflective questions. Sorry, one moment, please. We call the reflective questions. Everybody understand the reflective questions? The reflective questions are same as confirmatory questions. Just hold on. Confirmer. What am I doing here? Hold on, guys. So confirmatory questions and reflective questions are the same. Do you all understand that? Yes or no? Michelle? Okay. Reflective question. You told me earlier, Mr. Govan, that if you could have $1 million in the bank tomorrow, you would be a millionaire and you would not have to work so hard. Would that make you happy? If Mr. Govan replied yes, he has just bought my investment because he replied yes and he confirmed what he wanted. Confirmatory question. A confirmatory question is the same as a reflective question. Write it down because you need these to close any negotiation. People who can't close a negotiation are people who don't know the proper way of selling. Open-ended, closed-ended, reflective, or confirmatory questions. These are the core elements of assertive discussion, assertive negotiation. Did everybody understand that, everyone? Yes or no? Okay. But remember, before you go into a negotiation, the core element is you must know who you're negotiating with. That means you must be centric, customer or client centric. Customer or client centric. Go to the chat box, everyone, write it down. So as part of your preparation, you must be either the customer or client centric. Who are you going to negotiate with? Customer, client, or supplier? If it's a supplier, you must be supplier centric. You must know who the supplier is and why you really want to do business with them. Who are their competitors? Are they the right one to deal with? You should ask all these questions before you go into any negotiation. Do you understand that, everyone? Can you wave to me, please? Very good. Okay, let me go back to my screen. So remember, as a negotiator, if you want to be a successful business negotiator, you need to ask questions and you need to lead the information, lead the discussion. The amount of time as novices talk, you should be asking 2 to 3 times the number of questions. Okay, you need to take control of the discussion. All right, so remember the first 5 minutes, the first 5 minutes of any negotiation is critical. That's where the people you negotiate with are either locked in their focus on you or lost interest in you. During these 5 minutes, the other party is trying to figure out if you actually mean that you say, or if you're merely trying to get more than what you know or you're worth. Start out in a likable fashion so that the person doesn't shut down on you and go into an active state of mind. The only way they will shut down on you is if you start talking rubbish or lies, and for some reason they know that what you're saying is true. Or if you're trying to tell them to buy a machine that they need and you don't know exactly what their business is about and you try to sell them a wrong machine in the first 5 minutes, you have no chance of winning. That's why we said that you must spend 2 to 3 times more asking questions before you make any offers or talk about your machine or product. You need to do your homework on your counterpart, your customer or your client or your supplier. Remember, being centric is the key. Centricity equals knowledge in the key areas. Research your counterpart, research your client, research your supplier. Look at what they do. Compare your ideas in advance so you know whether they can help you or not. All right, for example, you want to push a higher salary, right? Look at your company. Look at the company you're applying for a job to. See if you can find out what salaries they're paying now and whether the salary you're asking they're already paying to somebody in your job. Otherwise, you'll never try to get that salary and you should never try to push it unless you're centric and have knowledge of the situation. So, preparation involves all of the things we've spoken about. Before any negotiation takes place, a decision needs to be taken as to when and where the meeting will happen. You need to know where you're going to negotiate and when you're going to negotiate. And you need to understand who is the decision maker. And is that decision maker going to be at your negotiation? All right. So remember, it's all about you asking the right questions, okay, to identify the pertinent facts and to clarify the position of your client so that you know what information you need to give them to close the business. All of this should be done in preparation for the negotiation session. Preparation before going into any negotiation is imperative. You should not even attempt without the preparation. Once you go into the meeting, discussion. During this stage, individuals or members of each side open the meeting with introducing themselves and having a general discussion about their understanding of each other's businesses. Remember, by this point, you should be centric of the business that you're dealing with or the company you're dealing with. You should already be centric. Okay? Key skills during this stage include you asking questions. Remember, questions, actively listening to the answers, and making sure you clarify all the critical elements by using objective communication, or as you've learnt before, active listening. Sometimes negotiators find it helpful to write down notes during the negotiation. If you're going to negotiate a multi-million-dollar deal and you're the manager, usually you take your secretary or an assistant, and their job would be to sit at the meeting table and simply write down notes for you. It's extremely important that you, as a negotiator, listen, all right? And you try to avoid getting into disagreements. So if for any reason there's a mistake or you say the wrong thing, you need to make sure you correct it straight away. And this mistake usually only happens because you were not listening. So let's talk about the communication cycle. What is the communication cycle? It's to interact with the other party and hold a negotiation. And when you ask questions, you need to assess the answers and decide whether the answers are the right answers for you to be able to meet your objective today and win the negotiating session. If the client doesn't give you the right objective or the objectives are not in line, you need to ask more questions, get feedback, and then go to what we call the reflective question to make sure you're both agreed before you undo anything. And you also need to use the reflective question here to make sure both parties are thinking alike. There and only then will you have gone through the whole communication cycle. Does everybody understand that? Yes or no? Remember, active listening, ladies and gentlemen, means information in, analyze, ask questions, clarify, reach consensus, move on, right? Active listening. So the communication cycle that I've shared with you today is a long step of active listening. Does everybody understand that? Yes or no? Okay, I'm going to write the word in the chat box because some of you are not shaking your heads. The word I just mentioned is active listening. Active listening is not hearing. One moment. It's not hearing. Hearing is when Lani and her boyfriend have an argument. And her boyfriend says to Alani, you need to wear more makeup because you look nicer with makeup. If Lani chooses to let that information go in one ear, out the other, because she knows she already looks beautiful and her boyfriend always says the same thing, then she hears. But if Lani actually says to her boyfriend, no, I'm wearing enough makeup. I don't need to wear any other makeup. Maybe I should just change the color. If she asks him more questions, then she's actually interested in what he's saying. But if she lets him talk and it goes in one ear, out the other, Lani wasn't listening. She would never be able to win that negotiation. She wasn't paying attention. Do you understand that, everyone? Yes or no? Now, Lani, I'm not telling you to ignore your boyfriend. You should always listen to what your boyfriend or husband says, all right? Take my advice. I've been married for a long time. I used to hear my wife, and I always used to make mistakes. Now I listen, all right? Always listen to your partner. It's part of mutual respect. Does everybody understand what I mean, the difference between hearing and listening? Yes or no? Rex, do you understand the difference? Can you put up your hand? Great, excellent. Okay. Mahadevan, do you understand the difference? Thank you, sir. Mirasol, do you understand the difference? Mirasol? Good girl. Excellent. I thought you were asleep, Mirasol. I was worried about you. Okay. Who else is here? All right. Do you understand the difference, Zawa? Zawa Lin? Do you understand the difference between listening and hearing, Zawa? Very good. Thank you, Zawa. Okay, let's me talk to Raylema. Raylema, do you understand the difference between listening and hearing? Can you wave your hand to me, Raylema? Thank you, Raylema. Thank you. Mary Ann Rigo with the beautiful smile. Do you understand the difference, Mary? Can you wave your hand, Mary Ann? Mary Ann Rigo, you need to switch on your live video feed, or you need to respond to me. Otherwise, you will not receive a certificate. Okay, so all right, let's go on. We all know the difference between active hearing or hearing. There's no such thing as active hearing and listening. Feng Chui, it's so nice to see you, Mr. Feng Chui. Welcome to BizTalk. Hello, Feng Chui. Okay, do you understand the difference between hearing and listening, sir? Okay, all right. Mayo Min, do you understand the difference? Mayo Min, Min 2, do you understand the difference? Thank you. All right, let me go on. Okay, so listening, active listening. All right, so remember I told you it's about asking questions. And the questions are 3 different types of questions. Open questions, closed questions, and what we call the reflective questions. Does everybody understand this? Yes or no? Okay, you need to ask questions. The questions will help you understand what the other person wants. It will help you understand what they're prepared to offer and what they expect. And it will also show you whether they're going to settle for anything less than what they're putting forward, or they're negotiable. And you will find all this out by the way you ask questions. Mr. Smith, you told me that the factory needs to actually buy 3 machines, which will in turn increase their production by 200%, and that will bring in 105% more revenue every month based on your current revenue turn. Is that correct? You're asking questions to establish how or what it's going to do for them. You need to make sure you have the right questions before you go into any negotiation. By asking questions, you will simply identify exactly what the other party needs and what they want so that you can close the deal. Does everybody understand that? Part of asking questions is to clarify the other party's goals and what their expectations are. If you fail this part of the communication cycle, you will fail the negotiation. Clarification is an essential element of the negotiation process. Negotiation is all about clarity, honesty, transparency, and the exchange of information. Address 3 categories of people problems. Now, if you find somebody during a conversation or during a negotiation and you are unhappy with them, that means that your perception of them, you've allowed your personal perceptions to kick in, and this is wrong. 2, your emotions have kicked in because he or she said something negative about your product or brand, or it's a misunderstanding. Let's look at number 1. Partisan perception and cognitive biases get in the way. Educating the parties about each other's views can help. So don't worry about what color, what race, what religion they are. Do not have preconceived perceptions. Do not say to yourself, oh, this person is from India, but I want their money anyway, but I don't like Indians. Because if you put that over when you go into a meeting, perception alone will bring you to failure. The other one is emotion. Both negative and positive emotions can become too strong and will hinder you entering a negotiation successfully. Allow the negative or positive emotions to come out, but do it nicely. Do not hold it back, and try not to bring personal emotions in. And the most common failure is misunderstanding because somebody wasn't actively listening. Frustration can be caused by miscommunication. Clarify the information and remove confusion. This is what we call active listening. Always, when you go into negotiation, during the introduction, ask the right questions. Get confident. Collect all the information you need so that you have confidence to make the offer to your client, manufacturer, or customer before they suggest to you what they're prepared to pay. Whoever makes the first move sets the stage, and all further negotiation is anchored around what you say. So it's very important that you, as the person who asks for the negotiation meeting to sell your product or service, actually remember, listen, and go in first with the offer. Start the meeting, introduce, understand about one another because you're already centric about this client or this company. Then start talking questions to identify what they want, how they want it, when they want it, and then with confidence, introduce your product or service. Do not let them tell you which product they want before you introduce your product or service. Ask them questions, collect the information, then go on to introduce your product or service to them. Listen carefully to what they tell you. By really and actively listening, you can identify information to use leverage on or identify the other options that could work for you. Listen closely, ask questions, make a note of the information. If you do all 3 of this, it means that you're actively listening. Share information with your counterpart. If you don't share enough information about your product or service, your counterpart will never agree or buy from you. You will build trust based on how much more information and transparency you give the customer who you want to buy your goods and services. All right, let me just go back. look at this. Explain why you want the item. If it's intended as a birthday gift or to start a new hobby, tell the sales assistant, oh, listen, I'm buying the t-shirt for my boyfriend. I really love him. I've been going out with him for 6 months. He's tall. He's from Vietnam. He's got black hair, green eyes, long black hair. He is very healthy. He runs on the beach every day. He's got beautiful muscles. I'm looking for a t-shirt for him to show off his muscles so he can look cute when I go out with him. Tell the story to the sales assistant because you're the customer wanting to buy a t-shirt that is going to make your boyfriend look sexy. It's same as negotiating. You're giving enough information to get the right product or service. You should always be focused on a win-win outcome. A win-win outcome is usually a result which leaves both parties feeling that they've won something out of the negotiation, all right? It's usually a two-way win. And this is really important when you go into negotiation. Does everybody understand what I mean by a win-win negotiation? Yes or no? Okay, let me talk about win-win. For example, a feng shui has a factory. A feng shui makes prefabricated walls to build houses. He makes them out of wood. So what happens? I'm the builder. I have a plan to build a house for my clients. I take my plan to a feng shui's factory. His carpenters will cut all the timber and build the walls for me to assemble on site, screw them together, put the roof on, close up the house, and start the interior decoration. So when I go to a feng shui and I tell him that I want his factory to make the walls, and a feng shui says based on the number of meters of wood and the time and the labor, we are asking 5 billion peso to do this job. Now, a feng shui has already told you 5 million. So the only way you are going to be able to get the walls from him is if he gets his 5 million, right? So how is it that you can try to talk a feng shui into lowering his price? It's by you. Can you stop this? Sorry, can you remove this, Govind? What is going on, Govind? Govind? Can you remove that person, please, or block them from sharing? If anybody does that during my session, I will ban you from future Biz Talks. Am I clear? Can you put a stop to that immediately, Govind, now? That person does it again, remove them from Biz Talk. Thank you. All right. Okay. So remember what we were talking about, that if feng shui once told me that the cheapest I can do this house based on the floor plan is 5 million rupees, and I know that I can't spend 5 million, I have to be able to explain to feng shui the reasons so he believes them. I have to give him supporting information. You know, feng shui, you quoted me, but let me just go back. You know, I'm asking for 25 walls, and I'm asking you to use 3x2 timber, not oak, not cedar, just normal timber inside walls. And they're going to be plastered. And your competitor across the road, Noella's factory, is prepared to do the whole job for 3.75 million. So how do you expect me to pay you 5 million when I'm only charging the client 5.1 million for the wooden frame? Do you understand what I mean by that? Okay. But if I went to a feng shui and he said my price is 5 million and I agreed to 5 million, but then when I quoted my client whose house I'm building, I've only charged him 5 million, then am I winning? No, I'm on a win-lose situation. All right? Because feng shui wins, I lose. That doesn't work in negotiation. The only time that works is if I need feng shui because the customer wants his house in 1 week and there's no other factory, then I'll buy for feng shui once more and I'll never go back. And he will lose a customer because he wasn't prepared to negotiate. So in every negotiation, the optimum outcome is a win-win negotiation. Do you understand that? At first, it might sound like win-lose, but as you're going to learn today, you're going to go into negotiation with what we call the BATNA, B-A-T-N-A, the BATNA. And when you go in with the BATNA, you're going to have minimum and maximum so you can compromise, okay? If you don't have a BATNA, you shouldn't negotiate. You should let somebody else do it. Does everybody understand that? Yes or no? Wave your hands. Come on. Okay, let's go on. Okay, win-win. Okay, to reach agreement, agreement can be achieved once. Agreement can only be achieved once the person buying from you has an understanding or both sides have a mutual understanding. And you both have considered each other's viewpoints through questions and answers. It is essential to everybody involved to keep an open mind, no preconceived ideas. Any agreement needs to be made perfectly clear so that both sides know what has been decided, and it should be a win-win situation. If you fail to agree, it means that you're walking away with no business. It is essential for everybody involved to keep an open mind in order to achieve an acceptable solution. Any agreement needs to be perfectly clear. At any subsequent meeting, the stages of negotiation should be repeated. So if you fail to convince your client at this meeting and you have to come back and negotiate again at another time, you need to make sure that you reflect on what you discussed the first time and agreed, and then have a solution to whatever it was that caused you to disagree. Technically speaking, if you're prepared, this should never happen. Usually this happens because you're not prepared. Okay, so the next part is implementing the course of action. Once the client has agreed, in order for you to show you're genuine and you're going to carry out, you must follow through on the agreement immediately. This needs to be done as soon as you've concluded the negotiation by signing an order or exchanging contract or sending confirmatory emails followed by contract. This plan needs to continue, and you also need to make sure there's a project timetable, a strategy and process, and you need to include all parts of the project in the documents so there's no disputes later. The win-lose approach. Negotiation sometimes is seen in terms of getting in your own way. Well, it's not true. Driving a hard bargain or beating off the opposition. Both of these are elements. While in the short term you can bargain, may well achieve your aims for one side, it's also a win-lose approach. So one side wins, the other side loses. And what this means is you are damaging future relationships because it may be the last time the person who loses will do business with you, simply because you were not prepared to compromise. Win-lose bargaining is probably the most familiar form of negotiation undertaken. Individuals decide what they want and each side takes up an extreme position. And usually most of these people end up failing the negotiation. Win-lose bargaining is probably the most familiar form of negotiation taken. Individuals lose what they want, then each side takes up the extreme position, and this happens when parties do not compromise and do not actually ask the right questions and try to listen to what the other party wants and why. And for women, this is known as haggling. Giving and making concessions, a compromise is reached, and each side hopes that this compromise will be in their favor and it will be win-win. So haggling is good, because if you haggle and you compromise, you will reach an agreement. But if you bargain and you don't listen to the other side, you will fail. A typical example is haggling over the price of a car. What do you want it for? I want to buy the car. I only have £1,500. Car yard says I couldn't give it to you for less than £2,000. So I'm the customer. I say I'll give you £1,500. Car yard says, you must be joking. Well, I'm prepared to offer you £1,550. I can't. £1,600. And you go up probably in £50 lots or £100 lots until you reach your maximum. And the car yard says done. But if the customer offers, if the car yard says, I need £1,700, and you don't haggle and you just walk away, you didn't get the car, they didn't sell the car. Remember, negotiation. Win-lose negotiation is essentially dishonest. Both sides try to hide their real views and mislead each other so that they win. Win-lose approach reaches a compromise solution which may not be the best possible outcome, all right? And that means there may have been some other agreement that was not thought of at the time, and this means that future relationship will be damaged. This agreement is less likely to be reached because one party is on the losing end of the negotiation. In negotiation, everybody must remember what I told you. Everybody must remember a simple theory. And we call this simple theory the BATNA theory. I repeat, the BATNA theory. And what is the BATNA? It's like the cricket bat of cricket that stops the ball hitting the wickets. All right, does everybody understand my explanation of what the BATNA theory is? Yes or no? All right, who plays cricket here? Does anybody play cricket? No? Does anybody watch the football? Who watches soccer? Everybody watch soccer? So what does the goalkeeper do? The goalkeeper stops the soccer ball from going into the goal, right? Okay, the BATNA is your goalkeeper to negotiation. Do you understand that, everyone? Yes or no? Yes or no? All right. So, boys, if you're going out with your girlfriend tonight, Marcelino, and you intend to propose to her tonight to marry you, your BATNA should be the expensive diamond ring that you bought, the engagement ring. You should be wearing the best suit you've ever worn. You should be wearing the most expensive perfume you've ever worn. And you need to make sure you buy her the best flowers that she always told you she loves. If you don't even know what sort of flowers she likes, she's never going to marry you. Do you understand that, Marcelino? Yes? Can anybody tell me, if I'm going to propose to a girl, what do I need to know about her? Who can tell me? Noella, you're smiling. Give me some examples. You're a girl. If somebody wanted to marry you or your boyfriend was going to propose to you hypothetically, what information do you think he should know about you? Tell me. Go ahead. Listen, Marcelino, for future, in case you need it or your friends need to know. Go ahead, Noella. What information would he need to know? Tell me. Go on, Noella. Don't be shy. Hi, Noella.
Good evening, sir, and good evening to everyone.
what sort of information would any boy who's going to propose to you need to know about you? Give me some examples.
I think he knows exactly who I am. I mean, as a person,
He
the
knows your
characteristics.
personality, what you
Yeah.
like and what you dislike.
And then
what food you eat,
and
what food you
as
like.
well as my family.
He should know about your family and their situation and respect it.
Yes,
What
sir.
else should he know about you? Should he know what your likes and dislikes are?
Yes, my favorite food, favorite restaurant,
Favorite
or favorite
flowers,
gifts that I like to
favorite
receive.
gifts,
Yes,
favorite jewelry,
exactly.
favorite handbags, favorite designer, favorite shoes, what you like to eat when you're in a bad mood, what your favorite chocolates are.
Something
Yeah.
that makes me happy.
Very good. That's the word I was hearing. So for the BATNA for you, Marcelino, when you want to propose to your second wife or girlfriend or whatever it is, mate, only hypothetically, you need to have a BATNA. Do you understand that, Marcelino? You need to go in there with your brain prepared. Oh, darling, you look so beautiful tonight. And you know, I knew you like this perfume, and I know that you told me not to buy it because it's $200 a bottle, but I love you so much. Here's your favorite perfume. You told me a few months ago that you also want to eat caviar, but you were worried that it's so expensive. Well, guess what? Tonight, we're eating Persian caviar, $1,000 for 100 grams, because you are the love of my life. And you also told me that if I was to ever to propose to you, you want a diamond ring, and the diamond should be at least 50 points, okay, in size, okay, and it should be a B color diamond with a grade B on it. So it should be pure diamond, no glass, not a color F or grade F, has to be B. All right, so 50 carat diamond, grade B. So what has she already told you, Marcelino? She is a very expensive girl, right? Because that diamond is going to set you back $45,000 minimum, okay? Especially if it's a grade B or grade A. All right, grade C, D, or E, maybe $2,000. But if she wants the top one, you better be a rich man. So what I just outlined to Marcelino is his BATNA. Do you understand that, everyone? Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes? Wave your hands. Come on. Marcelino, wave your hand. Don't go to sleep on me, Marcelino. Okay, all right. Let's talk about a business. Okay, business. Has anybody here got a business that they want to set up in the near future? Put your hand up. Come on. Okay, yeah, go ahead, Marcelino. I hope it's not marrying someone. I've already covered that. Okay, go ahead. Unmute your microphone, Marcelino.
Yes, sir. Good
What business?
afternoon to everyone and to you, Mr. Wally.
It's my pleasure. Welcome to my session. Tell me, Marcelino, what's a business that you want to set up one day?
Actually, I'm planning to set up a medical laboratory.
Okay, very good. Stop there. Okay, let me correct you. It's a medical laboratory. Say it properly. Laboratory.
Laboratory.
No. Marcelino, you're learning from an English speaker now. I know that you need to practice. It's not laboratory. It's no, it's laboratory. Say it after me. Laboratory.
Laboratory.
No. Listen to me, Marcelino. Listen to my mouth. Laboratory.
Laboratory.
Give him a big hand, everyone. Big hand. Keep practicing, Marcelino.
Thank you, sir, for correcting
You're welcome.
me.
Okay, now listen carefully. You're going to open a medical laboratory. And I assume, Marcelino, the prime business of this would to do blood analysis and urine analysis for doctors and hospitals. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
All right. So tell me, when you go to negotiate with the landlord, okay, what are you going to be looking for? A big enough floor space to house your laboratory and all the machines. 2, you're going to be looking for a location with a car park so the delivery vans can deliver and pick up the the samples or the results, correct? You're going to
Yes,
be
sir.
looking for a building which is close to where all the doctors and hospitals are, location-wise, correct? And
Yes,
you're
sir.
going to be looking at a lease or a rental over 5 or 10 years, so you don't have to move all the equipment again. Am I right or wrong?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right.
Thank you.
So when you go to rent from this landlord, are you going to be able to compromise on any of those items, do you think? Yes or no?
No, sir.
Well, okay, let's not jump to conclusions. You're becoming too confident now, young man. All right.
Yeah.
The location, you can compromise. Whether it's 5 minutes away from the hospitals or 10 minutes, you can compromise, right? Because you know you want to be within 20 minutes from the hospital. You can compromise that, right? The rent
Okay.
per year, you know how much money you have. Maybe you can't compromise that, okay? The duration of the rental contract, you may be looking for 5 years, but he gives you an option to 3 plus 3, right? So
Yes,
maybe
sir.
you can compromise on that. Do you understand what I mean by looking at things objectively, Marcelino? You have to look at things objectively because at the end of the day, you'll still get what you want. It's just the
Mhm.
way you word it. Do you understand me, Marcelino?
Yes, sir.
And your BATNA is your bottom line. Do you understand what I mean by bottom line, Marcelino?
Uh, if you can explain, sir, well, so I can
Okay.
understand.
Okay. Bottom line. Bottom line. Let me give you an example, Marcelino. I'm
Yes,
going to
sir.
make it very easy for you.
Thank
If
you.
you, no, listen carefully. Hypothetically, you want to marry this girl, okay? Listen carefully. Listen. And tonight you're going to meet her father, right?
Yeah.
You listening? You're going to meet her father, correct?
Yes.
All right. So the father, as Zayar will tell you, he's going to ask you 3 questions before he even tells his wife to give you coffee. Number 1, welcome to my home, Marcelino. Okay, young lady, go and sit in your room. I need to talk to this young man. Tell me, how much money do you have in the bank? Do you have a job? Can you afford to buy my daughter a house? And who's going to pay for the food for my daughter? All right, listen carefully, Marcelino. Question
Yes, sir.
1, do you have any money in the bank? No. Can you afford to buy a house? No. Can you afford to buy food for my daughter? Oh, no, sir, I'm unemployed. I come and stay with you for the first 2 years. Can I ask you, Marcelino, are any
Yes, sir.
of those factors negotiable for her father?
I can negotiate, sir, some,
Whoa, whoa, whoa,
not
whoa.
all.
No, don't say that.
Oh,
Just answer my question first.
uh-huh.
I've already given you the answers. You answered no, no, no. All right?
Hmm.
On that ground, do you think her father will negotiate? Yes or no?
Yes.
No. You've said no. Listen to me. Listen carefully, Marcelino. The girls are laughing. Listen carefully. The father asked you, do you have a job? You said no, right? Listen carefully.
Okay.
Do you have any money in the bank?
No,
You said no. Do you have a house for her to live in? You said
no.
no. Where will you stay? You said, I come and stay at your house. So the guy gave you 4 questions. You answered 4 no's. He being her father, do you think he's still going to negotiate with you or he's going to say
No,
sorry? No. Very
no.
good. Excellent. All right. Now let's do this again. All right. Listen carefully.
Yeah.
Young Marcelino, are you working? Yes, sir. I have a job, but I'm looking for a better job. Very good. Do you have money in the bank? I have a little, sir, but I'm going to save more now because once me and your beautiful daughter get married, we've agreed that we're both going to be working and save money to buy a house within 1 year. Okay, where will you be living? Well, sir, we were hoping to ask permission to stay here for 1 year or we stay with my parents for 1 year. Now, let me tell you, Marcelino, based on the answers you gave a second time, do you think her father would be open to negotiate this time?
Yes, sir.
What was the difference in the answers, Marcelino?
Yeah, the first one is you don't have or you cannot able uh
Accommodate
to
anything.
accommodate that girl
Right.
because I don't have money, I don't have house,
You
I
just said
don't
no
have
to
anything.
everything. No, no, no,
Yes,
no, no, no.
yeah.
All right. And what did you do the second time?
The second time I have money but not enough from the bank.
Yeah.
I have a house, but we can live together
Right.
to
Okay.
my
So what?
parents.
Okay. So what you did the second time is you were basically thinking with an open mindset, and you were trying to be considerate or compromise. Right? You gave him a compromise. I do have some money, but we'll save more. I do have a small house, but we're working to buy a bigger one. So you gave him something to make him negotiate. Am I right or wrong?
Yes, sir. You're
Do you
right.
understand now what I mean by your bottom line?
Yes, sir. Thank
All right.
you.
No, I haven't finished yet. Hold on. Marcelino, you
Okay.
asked me a
Mm,
question, then you don't let me explain. That's not
okay, sir.
negotiating, all right? Please give
Yeah.
me a chance. Let me ask you. Now, what do you think her father's bottom line was? What is he looking for?
The father will decide, or I
No,
mean,
what does he want? What does he want from the daughter's future husband? What does the father expect?
the father expected that I have a money, I
Right?
have a house,
Right?
and I have something actually.
Right. So that was his bottom line. Do you understand what bottom line means?
Yes, sir.
Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Very good. Marcelino is going to open his own laboratory next year.
Yeah.
Okay, say it again, Marcelino. Laboratory.
Laboratory.
No, Marcelino, please, please, not laboratory.
Yeah, yeah.
Laboratory. Say it again, laboratory.
Laboratory.
No, Marcelino, you're letting me down. I just taught it to you. Listen carefully, young man. Laboratory.
Laboratory.
You're getting there, Marcelino. Promise me you'll practice, all right? And
Yeah.
when you
Thank you very
open,
much, sir.
the girl who answers the phone will answer Marcelino's laboratory, right? Not
Yes, sir.
Marcelino's laboratory.
Yeah.
Marcelino's laboratory. Okay. I will personally come and teach them English. Are you happy with that?
Thank you very much, sir.
You're
Yeah.
welcome,
Thank
Marcelino.
you very much.
All right. Let's go back to our lesson. Okay. So what is the BATNA, ladies and gentlemen? The BATNA is the best alternative to a negotiated agreement. It's basically your bottom line. And in order to reach the BATNA, or in order for you to have a BATNA, you should always know the alternatives. If the client doesn't agree with your price, what is your lowest price? You should always have considered all the alternatives before you go to a negotiation. You should have them memorized and learn them. And you should know exactly what your lowest deal will be. There should be no second guessing. In other words, the BATNA is your bottom line backup plan or alternative solution. Okay? You must have specific and tangible alternative. It must be realistic. It must not be a threat or a bluff. It must be a genuine alternative. And you should not tell anybody about it until you go into the negotiation and need to use it. Do you all understand what I mean by the BATNA, the bottom line? Yes or no? Having a clear bottom line gives you more power and confidence in negotiation, as they know, okay, all right, you basically are offering them a solution and you can reach a compromise. So it's a win-win solution. A BATNA will basically be the bottom line. As I said to Marcelino, he told the girl's father he had no. There was no BATNA. When he walked in there and he told the father, I have a small house, I have some money in the bank, and we both intend to work and save more money, he gave the father a point to consider, which was positive. The father now felt more confident because it wasn't just no. So now Marcelino was negotiating with the father with a point of strength. Yes, I have some money. I have a small house. Okay, so basically you make a compromise. Okay, but the compromise is basically making concessions, which will mean that both of you win. Marcelino gets to marry the beautiful daughter. The father gives his daughter away and she gets married and he becomes a grandfather very soon after. Remember, the BATNA is like having a safety net, the bottom line, your defense, okay? It gives you peace of mind and more control during the negotiation. Do you understand that, Marcelino? Marcelino? Where are you? Is he still here or did he run away? Govind, where's Marcelino? Govind? Mr. Marcelino, do you understand what I just explained about the BATNA?
Yes, sir. I can understand now.
All right, now repeat after me. Laboratory.
Laboratory.
Good man. Give him a big hand, everyone. Come on, give him a big hand, please, everyone. Okay, all right. Promise me when you open your laboratory, I get free blood tests, all right? Free.
Yes, sir.
Can you do that?
Yes, you're sure.
Okay, and Mr. Govind can have free blood tests as well to make sure he doesn't have high cholesterol. Is that a deal?
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay. I can't ask for the whole class. There's too many of you. Sorry. Only for two of us. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. So everybody understands what your bottom line is. Okay. Bottom line. Can I ask you, is there any girl here in the middle of planning a wedding? Put your hand up. Come on. There must be somebody planning a wedding. Anybody planning to get married? No one? Oh my God, you're all good. You're all very good, very wise. Okay, let's go the other way. Is there anybody planning a divorce? No. Thank God for that. Okay. All right. Okay. Is there anybody planning to go out for an expensive dinner with their boyfriend? No? Yes, we got one. Okay. Which restaurant are you taking him to, or which restaurant is he taking you to? Go ahead, Lainey.
I wish if he's here, but I will ask him to go to Les Amis there on Scott Road.
All right. Where is your boyfriend? Currently overseas working?
He's in US, sir.
Right. Okay. Well, Lani, what you should do is write to him or get him on Google or Facebook and say, hey, darling, I love you so much. When are you coming back? Because when you come back, I found this great restaurant. Here are some pictures so you can start saving to take me there for dinner. All right. So you need to prepare him so he knows that you will not accept for anything less. All right. Your bottom line. Thank you, Lani. And if I was in your country, I would buy you dinner as your lecturer. Okay. It would be my absolute pleasure.
I can ask you now, sir, because I'm in Singapore.
I'm not in Singapore right now, young lady.
Oh,
I'm in Vietnam. I'm lecturing at a
Vietnam.
university. But listen, if I'm ever in Singapore and we hope to happen to clash, I would love to buy you coffee or dinner. It would be my
Sure,
absolute
sir.
pleasure.
Thank you.
You're
in
welcome.
advance.
Right, you're welcome. As a student, you're welcome. Thank you. Okay, does everybody understand that? Yes or no? Yes? Does everybody understand what the bottom line is? Thank you, May Carmona. Okay, so everybody understand. Does everybody understand why negotiation is important in your lives? Yes or no? Yes or no? Okay, let's go back. Okay, so let's look at a sample BATNA, all right? This is the bottom line. Okay, let's look at it. Engineers BATNA, companies BATNA. Okay, engineers BATNA equals 100K salary at available desirable job. This is what the engineer wants as a salary, $100,000 a year. Engineer is looking for a salary, okay, of $100,000 a year. All right, but he is prepared to accept 80,000 as well. But his ideal salary would be 100,000. But he's prepared to accept 80,000. Staying on the market to wait for a better offer, that is one of them. The second one is to take 80K, but ideally it would be 100K. All right, let's look at the company's perspective. Company's BATNA is 120K available for the right candidate. So hold on. This candidate wants 100. The minimum he's prepared to take is 80. This company is prepared to spend 120. Do you think they can actually reach a compromise? Yes or no? If both parties negotiate correctly, can they reach a compromise? Yes or no? You think they can reach a compromise? Yes or no? They can. But no one is going to tell the other what their line is. It's through negotiation, right? Yes or no? Very good. So let's talk about ZOPA. You're all asking me, what does ZOPA mean? What does ZOPA mean? ZOPA is the zone of possible agreement, okay? The zone of possible agreement, the middle. So what was the middle here? The zone of possible agreement is a minimum of 80,000 up to a maximum of 120,000. Does everybody understand ZOPA? 80,000 for Govind, who's the engineer, and for me as a company, it's 120,000. What's the zone of agreement? It'll be anywhere between 80 and 120. That's the ZOPA. Do you understand that? Yes or no? So if you have a BATNA, okay, and you go in and ask the right questions, you should be able to reach an agreement. Okay, you ask your employer, I'm interested in the job. It sounds like really exciting, but let me be honest with you. I need to get a salary better than what I have at the moment. All right. Okay, so then they will say to you, well, now I'm prepared to offer you 70,000 a year, and then you have to compromise. Well, 70,000 doesn't really motivate me to move. Would you consider 85 or 90,000 a year? You need to go up. So what you usually do is go up like to 90, and then that will give them a chance to drop back to 85. But for God's sake, if they offer you 70, you don't go to 75. That's not big enough. Make sure you choose a $25,000 increment so you've got room to work back with. Do you understand that, everyone? Or $2,500 increment, not 25,000. Do you all understand that? ZOPA. You all understand what BATNA and ZOPA mean? Yes or no? Okay, good. Okay, let's go on. Okay, so don't be afraid to walk away. At the end of the day, if the deal just doesn't work for you, if it means you're going to be on the losing end, if it means you're going to change the jobs and take a pay cut, don't compromise. Something you may later regret. Consider the walkaway option as the last option. A win-win outcome, you need to focus on maintaining the relationship that both parties actually are going to make money or gain benefit from the agreement. Only then will it be win-to-win. Focus on interests, not positions. Generate a variety of options. Aim for the result based on objective standard where both parties will benefit. Remember, in negotiation, you need to prepare by being centric about the party you negotiate with. You need to pay attention to details about that client or that supplier or that landlord or that girl you want to marry, Marcelino. You need to leave behind your ego and go there with an open mind. Don't say to yourself, Marcelino, there's plenty of girls in the ocean. If she says no, I'll find another one. Then you're never going to marry anyone, hypothetically. Okay, make sure you learn how to listen and actively listen. If you don't ask questions and you do not get the information in the first 5 minutes, you will fail. Always be prepared to compromise and have your BATNA ready. Okay, offer and expect commitment. If you put up the BATNA and they say yes, prepare to honor it. Do not jump in and accept a win-lose position, because at the end of the day, a win-lose position will be of no value to you or to them. Okay, they may win, but you will lose, okay? And if you lose, it's of no value to you. You need to be on an equal winning position. Don't give up your job to go to a lower salary. Have some principles. Have a BATNA. Okay, and when you do reach a compromise and they agree to your BATNA, make sure you close and move forward with what you've negotiated. Remember, part of this is having a BATNA, and then going back. Because if you have a BATNA and you know your BATNA, then you should know what the zone of possible agreement is. Does everybody understand that? Yes or no? The minimum seller's price, the most the buyer is prepared to spend. The seller's best alternative is his lowest price. The best alternative is what he's prepared to pay. Do you understand that, guys? Yes or no? Does everybody understand the zone for possible agreement? Yes or no? ZOPA is the zone for possible agreement. BATNA is the best available negotiation available. Okay, so if you go into a BATNA, remember what we said about BATNA? One moment, please. If you go into BATNA, when you go in with your BATNA, it's the best alternative to a negotiated agreement. It's your bottom line, the very minimum that you're prepared to take to make sure you get a negotiation and don't walk away with zero. Does everybody understand what I've explained so far about negotiation? Remember the 5 C's of negotiation. Establish rapport and build trust with the person. Be clear. Make sure you ask questions to get the right information and show that you're professional and creative. Be prepared to have a BATNA. Be prepared to compromise and make concessions that are mutually beneficial to both so that you are on a win-win situation. Close the agreement and deliver an honor. The following are examples of statements that you can use as a good negotiator. You've expressed your points very clearly, and I can now appreciate your position. However, let me explain our position as your supplier. Number 2, it's clear that you are very concerned about the cost, as I am myself when I looked at your company size and you told me about your revenue. But let me tell you how we can try to help you. Instead of saying, you're making me waste a lot of money by carrying on with this agreement. You can't even afford our product. You will never win a negotiation. Do you understand that, everyone? Does everybody see the difference between the defensive and the assertive, the commanding language where you are prepared to compromise? Yes or no? Wave your hands, please. Come on. Ryan, Arnold, thank you. Okay, let's go on. Remember, when you decide to negotiate, identify the issue, define the problem, decide whether to negotiate and what you want to achieve. You can only do this once you know who your client is and you're centric about the person you're going to negotiate. Prepare. Find out everything you can about them and their company. Understand their problem, define the goals, build relationship, and set yourself a BATNA. Negotiate, execute, and follow up. Does everybody understand this simple model? Does everybody understand the simple model? By allowing disagreements over issues to become disagreements between people, a good relationship can be maintained regardless of the outcome of the negotiation by not allowing disagreements. So as a negotiator, you should never allow things to become major hurdles or disagreements. You should always try to listen, ask questions, explain the reason, and try to find a compromise. Does everybody understand what I said about that? Yes or no? Marcelino, when he went to propose to the girl's father, by saying, yes, I have a house, it's only a small house, he was answering the question about, do you own a house? Compromise. But if he said no, there would have been no room for negotiation. Always make sure you study your words before you go into a negotiation, all right? For example, if you're going to sell your machine to a buyer and your machine is $1,250,000, that should be your recommended retail price. But you may never sell it for that. You should be able to have the power to negotiate. So if you go to see a client and you are the sales manager, you need to have permission from your company as to how low you can go. If you need to compromise, can you drop to $1 million? Can you drop to 900,000? If you don't have that bargaining power, you should not be the one to negotiate. Does everybody understand that? You should know what your best alternative to the negotiation is before you go into the negotiation. You should know your zone of agreement, of personal agreement, before you go in. So the zone of ZOPA is somewhere between $1.25 million and $1 million, the lowest. You should know your ZOPA before you go in. Do you understand that, Ryan Arnold? Ryan? Good, excellent. Does everybody understand what I just said? Yes or no? Okay, all right. Okay, so has everybody enjoyed my session today about negotiation skills? Put your hands up. All right, so what you need to do now is take what you've learned today and try to apply it and practice it in your jobs or in your personal life. And if you don't know how to use it, don't be shy. Send me a message, say, hey, Mr. Wally, you taught me about negotiation. How do I deal with this question? All right, I am here to teach you, not just to talk. Talk means nothing. It only becomes real when you practice it. Do you understand that, everyone? Yes or no? Does everybody understand this? Yes or no? All right, so remember, if your camera's not switched on, chances are you may not receive a certificate. It is a requirement for this session that your camera gets switched on. I look forward to seeing you again at BizTalk, not next week, but the week after. Next week, you'll attend the leadership series, and that should be conducted by my boss and my guru, Mr. Benson Ma, or if not, myself or one of our other team members. But I suspect next week maybe Mr. Benson Ma, because he wasn't here last week. He was away on business. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, if it's not me, if it's not Benson, it'll be another speaker that knows the subject. And I look forward to seeing you the following week for BizTalk 95. Is everybody happy to see me here today? If you're happy, can you wave your hands to me, please? Come on. Show me that you appreciated today's session. Freddie, did you learn anything today, Freddie? Freddie Konawan? Okay. Hi, Vincent. Nice to see you, Vincent. Thank you, Mary Lou. All right. Everybody who learned something, put your hands up now, please. Come on, hurry up. Show me that you're here. If you're not here, your camera's not on, you don't put up your hand, how do I know you're even attending the session? Why should I give you a certificate? Acknowledge my session. Put your hands up now if you're here. If your camera's off, put your hand up now if you want a certificate. Okay, as I said, if your camera's on, you will get a certificate. If your camera's being switched off, you may not get a certificate. It is a requirement to have your camera switched on. Thank you. Okay, everyone. Does everybody understand what I said? Thank you for raising your hands, Sir Amos. Thank you so much, young man. Thank you, everybody, for raising your hands. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. God bless you all. Does anybody have any questions? Wave to me and I'll answer your questions. Any questions? Okay, I have a question. Okay, hold on. Ray Ponce, go ahead. Unmute your microphone, Ray.
Okay, sir. Just clarification. Is haggling is a best example for SOPA?
Sorry?
Is haggling is the best is one of the example for SOPA?
Well, you should know what your Zopa in before you go in. So you should know what your BATNA is. If you know that your BATNA is $100,000, that's your lowest, that's your bottom line, then when you go into the negotiation, your Zopa will be your 100,000 and whatever they're prepared to offer. And the only way you're going to reach a line or a middle is by compromise, yes, by haggling.
Thank you, sir.
All right. But remember, Ray, be careful how hard you haggle. All right. Because at one
Yes,
point or not, they won't go any further. You walk away with nothing. All right. And you should
because
do your.
most
Yes, go
of
on.
the business in, we call it here in Philippines, the black market, that is a sale of maybe a second hand or surplus. So haggling is one of the instrument in negotiating between the
Yeah, but
buyer and the.
yeah, let me tell you, I know about the black market in the Philippines. I also know about the black market and the corruption that goes on in other countries, which I won't mention. Be very careful. Haggling in the black market and haggling with real businesses is different. So just be aware of that, okay? What you haggle in the black market, sometimes they'll accept anything. But with a real company, it might not be so easy. So I know that it's a lot of black market deals in the Philippines, and I've done them and I enjoyed haggling because at the end I made money out of it and it was a great deal. Okay. It was only once, and I was buying a very expensive piece of jewelry for my wife that I've been with now for 30 years. All right. But I went to an expensive jewelry shop, and then the guy said, "You're not going to find it here, but I'll give you a name of someone to go and see." So I went to this place, and he was a small jeweler working in a small shop in a little street in the Philippines that I needed a taxi to get there. And, you know, he had a gemology thing on his door. He was real, but he was very small. I found the same stone sitting in his safe, and it was the same grade because the guy with me was a gemologist who tested the stone. And I got the stone for 30% less than the shop outside. And I asked him, "Why did you sell it to me for this price?" He said, "I don't have a shop. And if I don't sell it to you, it'll sit in my safe for another 1 year. So at least I make some money. I make a little profit, and you get the stone for your wife." I took that stone, carried it all the way back to Singapore, went to a jewelry shop and had them test it. And they valued it. And guess what? I already made a profit over 3 days just by carrying it all the way from the Philippines. All right. So sometimes black market and haggling can work. But I just want you to remember that haggling the black market, Ray, is different to when you're negotiating with a proper business. Do you understand that, mate?
Yes,
Very
sir.
good. Thank you, Ray. God bless you. Have you learned anything today, Ray? Has today's session helped you?
Yes, sir. Very much.
Thank you, Ray. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, anybody else want to ask me a question? Wave your hand to me. Anyone? Yeah. Yeah, I got a question from Tran Min. Nick, go ahead, Nick. Go ahead.
Yes, but I understand the Zopa and the partner, but sometimes we have to walk away even we already got the partner.
Well, let me tell you, no, I disagree with you, Nick, because you're not confident. That's why. If you go in with a BATNA and still walk away, then you don't have a BATNA. Do you understand that? Come on, Nick, tell me, what's the point going in there with a BATNA and walking away? That means the BATNA wasn't really your BATNA. It means you were doubting yourself, right? Yes or no?
All right.
Okay, do you understand the logic in that, Nick? Let me explain to you.
Okay.
Let me just explain it. Okay, I'll give you a general example, Nick. I'm a hardware provider. I sell hardware, right? I go to a client, and the client called me, and he wanted a 8X server to store so many on a rack or so many racks, and he wanted it within 6 months. And he told you his budget was 1.25 million US dollars, right? He told you that. Now, you go and look at all the servers on the market. You know you can buy one for $750,000. By the time it's shipped into your country, it's $800,000. You got $450,000 margin. Now, your boss says to you, we need to make $400,000 margin, and you know that this client's spending power is $1.25 million. So what is your BATNA? If you go in there with a BATNA of 1.25 million, that's not a BATNA because that's his budget. And you know that the customer is not going to give you all his budget. There's no way he's going to do that because he still has to pay for installation and delivery, right, Nick? Am I understanding me? So when you go into a negotiation, Nick, you need to make sure that the BATNA is truly a BATNA. Otherwise, don't go in.
Okay.
All right. So if the customer says to you, the customer says, I want to buy hardware from you, and this is my company, and this is the sort of hardware we're after, before you actually go to the negotiation, before you go to the meeting, do research. Check the company, drive past there, look how big their office is. All right. Maybe walk in and pretend you're a customer, find out what they have and what they don't have. Maybe go to the internet and look for last year's results if they're published, if they're a public company. Understand your client before you set your BATNA. Do you understand me, Nick? But for you to tell me as a qualified negotiator that you can go in with a BATNA and still walk away, that means you don't have a BATNA. You have a thought. Do you understand the difference between a BATNA and a thought?
Okay.
Now, the only time the BATNA would fall apart and you would walk away is if you put the BATNA on the table, all right? Listen carefully, and then the client puts a twist. Do you understand what I mean by the twist? I'll give you this. So you go in with a BATNA of $950,000, okay? Okay. The client says, Nick, I agree to $950, but I'm going to change the payment terms. I can't pay you 50%, 50%. I can only pay you 10% and 90%. That may be reason to walk away. All right. Understand that? Because the terms of payment, the critical element of the contract changed. It wasn't your BATNA. Your BATNA of 900,000 was met, but the client threw an obstacle. Then you can walk away. You're at no fault. Okay. Unless you can come with a compromise and say, listen, I can't give you 10% and 90%. Let me call my big boss and see if he's prepared to go 50-50 or 60-40 or 70-30. But do you understand now the logic and when you say you can walk away from BATNA, Nick?
Yeah, I understood.
All right, let me just give you an example, Nick. I was involved in negotiation between Singapore and Malaysia 20 years ago, okay? It was for a project between two companies. And I was a consultant, a business continuity management consultant for the Singapore company. And the Malaysian company put up 20 people around the table. And it was only me, the owner, and the lawyer who went to negotiate in Malaysia. We went in there with a BATNA, all right? We went in there with a BATNA of a contract, which they had pre-approved. They read the contract. They told us they would meet the terms. We argued about price and we had a BATNA. We got our BATNA. And guess what they said as we walked out? Guess what they said? The guy said, we've agreed the price, but we have to renegotiate the payment terms. Now, have I delivered on my BATNA? Yes, I have, right?
Yeah.
But now what happened? They had pre-approved the contract. They had read the fine print. So now what they said is, we want to rewrite the payment terms of the contract. How do you think I reacted? What do you think I did? What do you think my immediate reaction was? What do you think I should have said? What would you have said?
It wasn't because they already agreed about the payment term before. Then why
All
not
right,
they
good.
twist?
Okay, so there's two ways I could have handled it. I could have said, sorry, we've already agreed, no deal, right? That's number one.
Yeah.
What would have happened if I did that? I would have lost the business, correct?
Yeah.
Number two is this is how I approached it. I'm sorry to hear that, but I thought we had pre-agreed the terms of contract. And they said, yes, but now you're asking us to pay more than what we expected. So we need to renegotiate. And this is what I said. Okay, how about we sit down again now and talk about it? Because once I walk out the door, the price I offered you is gone. Guess what they said, Nick? Let's talk. We sat down again. You know what their issue was, Nick? You know how much they were arguing about? Have a guess. It was a 28 million Singapore dollar contract. Do you know how much they were arguing about? How much do you think they were arguing?
15.
They were arguing over $1.2 million.
Okay.
All right. So we had originally asked 31 million. Our bottom line was 27 million. We had already agreed at 28 million. So I sat at the table again, and what did I do? So what is holding you up from the terms? And they said, we need to get another 1.2 million discount. Otherwise, we need bank finance.
Okay.
So I looked at him. I said, okay, listen here. I will do this contract at 27 million. Okay. 27.2 million, which is what you want. You wanted 1.2. I will do it 1 million less, 27.2 million. And this is what I'll do. I will allow you to proceed with the contract at 27.2 million, and I'll put there that the remaining 200,000 balance you can pay in one payment 30 days after completion of the contract. He said, sorry? I said, you wanted 27 million, right? You agreed to 28 million. You were going to go to the bank to borrow $1 million. I'm giving you 27.2 million. You don't have to go to the bank. It's going to take 6 months for us to implement the machinery in your factory in Malaysia. At the end of the 6 months, you have 30 days to pay us the balance, which is $200,000. Do you think you can raise that over 6 months? What do you think the answer was, Nick? What do you think they said?
They said they agree.
Yes. Now, hypothetically, do you think I made a financial decision that was beneficial to me? I did, because I got my $27 million contract and I got $200,000 bonus, which they're going to pay me 30 days after I've delivered, right? Now, the 27 million was already pre-approved by their bank, right? So that would have been paid. The contract, the bank had approved a loan for 27 million. And it was upon signing of contract, 30%, implementation, 50%, completion, 20%. So by the time I handed over the machines, I got 100%. 30 days later, they give me $200,000. They've already started using my machine. They were happy. Guess what happened before I walked out that day? Do you know what happened? Their CEO said, by the way, do you have a draft of that contract? I said, yes, I have a draft in my bag, and we have our corporate lawyer here. He said, can you give it to me, please? The corporate lawyer put the contract on the table. You know what the guy did? He said, I'm signing this in advance. When you send me the real one, I'll sign it again. I looked at him and said, sir, you don't have to do that. This is all about trust. He said, no, I feel comfortable because you gave us way. We don't have to go to the bank and apply for another loan. All right. And you know what? That company in Malaysia has since bought 3 sets of machines from the same Japanese company in Singapore. Every time they bought, they've spent either the highest was 27 million, and every 2 years they spend another 5 to 10 million. So do you understand what I mean by having a BATNA and asking the right questions and drawing compromise? But don't ever go in there with a BATNA and walk away unless you explore all the possibilities. Do you understand that, Nick?
Yeah, I understand.
And if you ever find yourself in a situation where you want to walk away, you can always message me hypothetically what it is, and I'll tell you what to do. All right, mate?
Yeah, okay. I
Thanks,
understand.
Nick. Does that help you? Have I helped you or have I confused you?
Yes, it is. It is.
It help or confuse?
Yeah, it's helping. Yeah.
Good on you, mate. Excellent. Thank you so much. All
Yeah.
right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Wally Rouda. And yes, I am that Australian guy, and I love teaching, and I'm passionate about seeing you guys become successful. Has everybody enjoyed my session today? Come on, show me a true count. Everybody wave your hands. All 190 of you. Very good. I love you all. All right, guys. Listen, make sure you visit our company on social media. We are on YouTube. We are on Facebook and we are on Instagram. And this session will be on YouTube under the Apex Stories in about 7 to 10 days. Make sure you go and watch the video and download it and learn from it. And please do me a favor. Tell all your other friends who are our students or were our students in the past that they're welcome to join you for BizTalk. All right. If you have a friend that wants to sit with you at BizTalk, they're welcome to join you as long as they learn from it. Do you understand that? Yes or no? Okay. If they even did one module with us and they decided that they can't afford us for a while and they want to come back in future, you want to let them join us, just get them to join you. All right, guys. But remember, we are here for you as our students and former students to get qualifications. That's our main target. All right. Remember, you will get a certificate for this BizTalk, which you can add to your CV or resume as extra training courses attended, negotiation skills for business professionals. All right. Or for professional business. Okay. Make sure you use that certificate and put it on your resume. If you don't know how to add BizTalk to your resume, send me your resume one day, show me where you've put it, and I'll correct it for you so you can put all your BizTalks there. Do you understand that, everyone? Yes or no? Yes, Michelle? Michelle Magyar, do you understand that? Michelle? All right. From me, Wally, everybody, this is what I ask you every week. Please go to social media, give me the thumbs up, put on Facebook, Mr. Wally, we love your BizTalk. Come on, there's 190 of you. Tonight, I want all 190 of you to do one favor for me. Go to our Facebook page and write me a comment. I love BizTalk, Wally. I love negotiation skills, Wally. I can't wait for your next session, Wally. All right, can everybody do that for me tonight on Facebook? Yes or no? Put your hands up if you promise to do it on Facebook today. Come on, everyone. Ray? Come on, Lazy Ray. Where's Marcelino? Marcelino, where are you? Is Marcelino still here? Can anybody nab Marcelino and tell him I'm looking for him? Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mary. Okay. From me to you, everyone, God bless you all. I love you all. I love my students. I love you all. I'll see you at the next BizTalk. This is Wally Rouda. A very good night to all of you. To my co-host and my boss today, Mr. Govind, thank you for hosting BizTalk. Thank you, sir. Thank you, everybody. Good night. Good night, everyone. Make sure you go to Facebook today, all right? Thanks, guys. Take care. Bye-bye. I love you all. Goodbye.